Are you ready to get out of your own way and go all in at achieving your goals and dreams? Are you ready to make your goals and dreams non-negotiable? Then in this video, I'm going to share with you the 8 primary blocks that stop you from achieving your goals and dreams. I'm Marguerita, conscious mindset coach, business strategist, and light worker from Pitbull Coaching, and founder and creator of the Wealth Consciousness Movement and the Conscious Wealth Revolution. And I am absolutely committed and passionate about helping you to be the best version of you so you can be unstoppable at bringing your dreams to life. So let's dive into the 8 fears and blocks that stop people from achieving their goals and dreams. Now, throughout your life, you have had a whole range of experiences. And from those experiences, you have made subconscious decisions. And particularly from the ages of 0 to 7, in the formative years, you created either supportive or sabotaging decisions about your future, about your worthiness, about being deserving. And you've locked in fears. And these fears are actually to keep you safe. So you may have had an experience when you were a kid that your subconscious mind said, whoa, okay, we're going to avoid that. Either somebody said something or you did something and there was a consequence. So for instance, let's think about standing up in front of the class and you're going to give a presentation or something and them all laughing at you and you feeling humiliated, ashamed. You feel really, really small. It's painful, right? So the subconscious mind goes, whoa, okay, we don't want to experience that again because that was really painful and humiliating and never want to do that again. So I'm just going to be shy. I'm going to climb away into a corner and I'm not going to put myself in a position where I get to experience that kind of pain again. These pains, particularly when we're children, and they could even be traumas that you've experienced, and particularly when we're children, these things can feel like an existential threat. So we install these programs that say, it's not safe. I'm not going there. I'm not doing that. And this is where we sabotage ourselves. Or somebody might have said something to you. Or there might be a belief that money is the root of all evil. And you know that the saying in the Bible is not the money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. Okay? Or that money doesn't grow on trees. So there's never enough. You may have experienced in your childhood bickering and fighting between your mother and father or your primary caregivers about money. So you've installed this belief that money causes conflict, money causes pain. Maybe your parents separated and you associated that with money. I worked with a client once and she actually grew up in a really wealthy household. And the father was a very wealthy man, was a self-made man and had made lots and lots of money. And the wife was the caregiver in the household. The problem for this person was that her mother was really abusive toward her. I know, awful, isn't it? So for whatever reason, this woman decided to take out whatever pain she was experiencing on her child. Now, the father, who was really wealthy, did not want to face or confront the problem because leaving his wife meant he was going to lose half the money that he had worked so hard for. And in his value structure, his value system, money was actually more important than looking after his little girl. I know. Again, really painful. So this little girl associated money with pain, with being abandoned by her father, with the conflict between her mother and her father. And although on the outside it looked like she had a really nice life because she had all this money, she decided that money and love could not coexist. So she abandoned money so she could have love, and she didn't think that the two could work together. So do you see how powerful these subconscious programs are? Okay, so you have installed thousands upon thousands upon thousands of programs that determine your results. And it's finding out what those programs are that is the real trick. Because once you find out what they are, actually releasing them is not that hard now. We have so many processes that can help you to release them. So when you find out what those programs are, and they come into those blocks come into 8 primary categories. So let's start going through them. The first one is the fear of change. We all have a primal fear of change. It is the fear of the unknown, because we know the situation that we're in right now, no matter how uncomfortable. So it's like, well, I'm surviving here. So if I stay here, I at least know that it's predictable. The result is predictable. And when the result is unpredictable, we don't know what the challenges are. We don't know if we're going to be safe in that new situation. So this is why the brain fears change. So fear of change is one for every single person on the planet. Fear of failure, self-explanatory. We have stigmatized failure and made failure something that we run away from and that we avoid, because we think that failure means something about us. Failure means nothing about you, by the way. Failure just means that you had a crack and it didn't work. That's it. Take the stigma out of failure. But quite often we experience this feeling of shame around failure because we think it means we're a failure. No, it does not. Let that BS go right now. Be determined to fail your way forward, because failure is just feedback, and failure is an inevitable part of your journey. If you are not willing to experience the pain of failure, and yes, failure can be quite painful depending on how big that failure is, and depending on the kind of experience you have when you fail, right? So public failure, man, that can be really painful. Get over it. It means nothing about you, and nothing can determine your future, and no one can determine your future except you. So suck it up, claim it, own it. It didn't work. Big deal. Next. Then there's the fear of success. Now, this is a bit of a strange one for a lot of people, but a lot of people fear success because they're afraid of the consequences of success. So, for instance, I was incredibly good at school. I was top of my class when I was a kid, and all the other kids hated it. So they bullied me relentlessly. It wasn't physical bullying, it was emotional bullying, and I was a very sensitive child. So what did I do? Well, in order to stop the bullying and stop the pain, I became a mediocre student. I just kept failing. I deliberately failed because it was far less painful to be invisible, to not stand out, to not be successful, than it was to excel and be at the top of the class. I could just blend in and people would leave me alone if I didn't stand out. Now that took me so many years to figure out, and I sabotaged myself so much over the years until I found out what that programming was. And I had to do a lot of work on that, by the way. I had created a lot of threads that locked in that fear of success. It took a while to be able to really unpack that, unravel that, and disentangle that from my subconscious. This is why I say that doing this internal work and being so committed to the internal work is absolutely imperative. Because the change that you need to make is internal. It is your internal world that determines your external world and your external results, yes? Okay, so number 4, it is the fear of loss. So, are you afraid to lose money? Are you afraid to lose friends? Are you afraid to lose family? Are you afraid to lose face? But the fear of loss is a big one for everybody. We don't want to lose those things that we cherish in our lives. So do you have a belief that when you're really wealthy and successful, you will lose your friends or your family? Do you have a belief that when you invest in yourself that maybe you'll lose money and you're afraid to lose money? And you know, if you become really good at making money, you will never be afraid to lose money or invest money and not get that return on your investment. Because if you know how to make money, what do rich people know how to do really well? They know how to make money, they know how to keep money, they know how to grow money. The first part of the equation is knowing how to make money. So when you are really good at making money, guess what? You don't have to worry about the fact that when you invest in yourself, if that investment doesn't work out, then okay, whatever, next, I'm good at making money. Big deal. And particularly if you're an entrepreneur, you know that marketing is one of the most valuable skills you will ever learn and develop. Because when you can flick that switch to making money on, it's a game changer. You just turn it on when you want, turn it off when you want. So marketing is a really, really important skill as an entrepreneur, okay? So the fifth one is the fear of negative consequences. So the fear of something bad happening as a result of you taking action. So maybe that's because of a trauma you've had in the past, maybe because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So maybe you took action and something bad happened as a consequence. Or maybe you just instilled this thing in your brain from something somebody else said that you think, oh, if I do this, then this will happen. That's going to be bad. I heard a story just the other day about a man who kept sabotaging himself. And when that was tracked back to when that program was installed, it went back to when he was a little kid, and he told his mother that he wanted to be really successful when he grew up. And his mum said to him, oh, son, you don't want to be successful. Successful people have heart attacks. Like, as a 4-year-old, that statement got installed in his brain, and he would sabotage himself and stop himself from being successful because he thought that if he was successful, he was going to have a heart attack. These associations that are the BS in your brain are so powerful and so impactful. It's imperative that you do the work to find out what they are so you can release them. Be committed to your future. Be committed to being the most powerful version of you and releasing these stories. Now, the sixth one is fear of rejection, judgment, criticism, and humiliation. Now, there is no denying that those 4 things are painful. Rejection, judgment, criticism, and humiliation can be very painful. So you've got to be able to put a thick coat of armor on and let go of your emotional attachment to the opinions of others. Because people are very, very quick to share their opinions, particularly on social media. And if you are constantly vulnerable and open to being hurt by those opinions, then you are going to constantly go around being a wounded soul. So let go of your emotional attachment to the opinions of others. Let them criticize you, let them judge you. Who you are and what you do is none of their damn business. It is none of their business. Now, the only people's opinions who should matter to you, who should be relevant to you, are the opinions of those who you love. And even then, take what they say with a grain of salt, because even our family and our close friends can be just cruel, man, and just vicious sometimes. So the less invested you are in their opinions of you, and if it's constructive criticism, then run it through that filter. Think about, okay, is this constructive? But make everybody else's opinions pretty much irrelevant. So you can just do you, and whatever they think about you, who effing cares? Whatever. And if they just want to dump on you, bye-bye. See you later. Have a nice life. You do not need dream stealers in your life and in your world. And if people aren't uplifting you, empowering you, inspiring you, then make sure they have a limited position in your life and in your esteem. Okay? Surround yourself with people who will uplift you, inspire you, empower you, and help you to build that self-confidence and self-belief in you. Surround yourself with people who believe in you until you believe enough in yourself. And don't let anybody tell you that you're not good enough and that you don't deserve to achieve your goals and dreams. Period. So be resilient emotionally and make those opinions of others irrelevant. Okay? So, and the other fear, the last fear is the fear that you're not good enough. The belief that you are not enough. That's huge. So overcoming those first 7 needs to be your mission always for the rest of your life. Overcoming those fears, those self-doubts. Now, the 8th block that stops people is trapped negative emotions. So this comes down to emotional intelligence. And the vast majority of us did not grow up in environments where we were taught to be able to process our emotions. So things like anger, sadness, grief, and overwhelm, and frustration, shame, guilt. All these negative emotions, if we don't learn how to process them effectively, what we do is we stuff them down. Why do you think we have so much rage in our society? It's because people don't know how to process anger. They don't know how to process anger because we were taught when we were little kids that anger is an inappropriate response. You're not allowed to be angry. Why are you allowed to be angry? Because your parents didn't know how to deal with your anger or didn't know how to teach you how to deal with your anger, so they just told you it's not appropriate. The same as being sad. We were told so often that it's not appropriate to be sad, particularly boys. You can't be sad. Grow up. Be a man. Harden up. It is an appropriate emotion. Whatever emotion you feel is appropriate for you. Now, staying in that emotion is not appropriate. But until you have the tools to be able to process these, you've got to stuff it somewhere. Because you can't wander around just being in the emotion all the time because you become really dysfunctional. But this stuffing these emotions down causes so many blocks. It also causes dis-ease within the body, and it causes us to be dysfunctional in society. So if you need a professional to help you to work through some of those trapped emotions, and you know what? It over the years of doing so much EFT, I actually don't find that I have a lot of these trapped emotions anymore. But there's still some in there because we are complex beings, right? And what happens is when you need to release an emotion, what will happen? Something will actually happen to trigger that emotion, and you have an opportunity in that moment to give yourself permission to experience the emotion and then use tools like tapping to release that emotion from your field. What you resist persists. If you don't resist the emotion, it will eventually work its way through. One of the most powerful experiences for me of that has been the grief that I experience when I lose one of my fur babies. And that's happened multiple times in my life because I've had lots of fur babies. And one fairly recently, I lost my beautiful 15-year-old little cuddle dog cross kelpie. Charlie has been my companion and my buddy for 15 years. And it was actually quite traumatic, even though he was old. It was very quick and it was quite traumatic when he went. And it took about a day to really hit me. But once it hit me, holy crap. Actually, it was less than a day. It was overnight. I was so grief-stricken. But I gave myself permission to feel the feelings, to cry as much as I needed to. And I used tapping to sit with all the emotions, to process the trauma. And I've been actually quite pleasantly shocked. I still miss my little buddy, but I don't feel grief. I'm just really glad that I got to spend 15 years with my beautiful little furry friend. So once you get into and unpack these emotions and release them, oh my God, your life will change so much. And the other thing is, if you are being triggered by anything like feeling humiliated, or somebody says something to you that is nasty or cruel, or that you feel like you have just been attacked, or you feel like you've been rejected, or you feel like you've been judged and criticized, that is a really good opportunity to sit down and go, whoa, okay, that really hurt. Why? Because you can't be triggered by anything that actually isn't trapped within you. So for instance, say somebody comes up to me and says, oh my God, you're so fat. I'd be like, what? Okay, whatever. Because I don't feel fat. I don't think I'm fat. I don't have any shame or negative judgment about myself about being fat. But say you were a really mean person and you went up to somebody who was overweight and you went, oh my God, you're so fat. And that person had a sense of shame about the way they looked and they were self-critical, then that would hurt them, right? Now, of course, if they are actually overweight, then they could potentially take action to do whatever they need to change their diet, to change their exercise, to change whatever emotional dysfunction they have going on that caused them to get that way. So they could trim down and then they wouldn't have to be overweight. But by the same token, if that same person was completely comfortable with the way they looked, they would just look at the person who criticized them and say, yeah, okay, whatever. Off you go. Who cares? I don't care. I don't care that you care. Whatever. Dude, that's your business, not mine. So what anybody else ever thinks of you is none of your business. But if you feel triggered, if you feel hurt, then that is a flag that goes, whoa, okay. What pain am I holding on to that I can take this opportunity to work it out and release it so that no matter what anybody says to me, I don't get triggered and I don't feel that pain. Yes? Massive opportunity. So there you go. They are the 8 primary blocks that stop people, including you, from being wealthy and successful and living life beyond your wildest dreams. And you can, if you want, because you know that EFT tapping is my favorite release technique. Once you discover what the block is, you can use tapping. And if you would like access to an entire free library of so many EFT tapping videos working on a lot of these different topics, as well as blocks to money, wealth and abundance, entrepreneurship, so much free content in my Wealth Consciousness Movement library, you can register for free at the address that is on your screen right now. And if you would like to work with me on some of these blocks, by the way, you can always join the Conscious Wealth Revolution. There's a load of content in there that's going to help you to get the breakthroughs that you need. And you get to work with me once a month on a breakthrough session, and it's just $10 a month. So you can go to the Conscious Wealth Revolution and register there if you'd like to work with me on uncovering those blocks and then releasing those blocks so you can get on the fast track to achieving whatever your dream life is. If you've liked this, then like and subscribe, comment below, let me know what your biggest takeaway is. I look forward to seeing you in another video very soon. Until next time, take care and bye for now.